Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at what is unfortunately one of the last Transformers Earthrise figures, the Deluxe class Target exclusive Runabout. Runabout is of course the inevitable repaint and slight retool of his brother Runamuck, a figure that if you will recall I was a massive fan of and said that if they were to do a black and red repaint of that release that I was more than likely going to prefer that over the actual Runamuck figure, and I've got to say that Runabout here does not disappoint whatsoever. It is just unfortunate that he is indeed a Target exclusive. I have no idea as to why Hasbro keep packaging in these brothers or these teams in the main line and then putting the companion characters into exclusive lines. We've seen that with the likes of Earthrise Starscream, where he was packaged in the main line, and then of course Thundercracker and Skywarp were packaged as part of yet again another exclusive, and we're also seeing it with the Coneheads as well. However, I do believe that the Coneheads were Amazon exclusives and now Thrust is of course also a Target exclusive, so I really have no idea as to why they keep making all of these exclusives for some of the most highly sought after and essential characters to of course the Transformers lineup. But nevertheless, taking a look here at the details, one of the newly sculpted pieces that Runabout does indeed have is of course this magnificent looking head sculpt, and whilst very similar in design to that of Runamuck, his mouth guard is certainly a lot larger and definitely looks a little bit more like a contraption from one of the Saw movies than what we saw with Runamuck. You can see there that we've got some excellent detail going on for the sides of Runabout's head sculpt. I absolutely love these Battle Charger brothers and the update that Hasbro and Takara Tomy have given them with this particular Earthrise release. You can see that the paint apps there for the head sculpt have come out really nicely, especially there for the faceplate and of course for the eyes. As we take a look here for the torso, once again they have opted to use a faux chest. However, in my opinion, I've always said that if they use faux pieces and it actually helps to aid the robot mode and the vehicle mode, then I'm all for it. It is only when it gets in the way of either modes that I begin to have an issue with it, but here I think that for the most part it works rather nicely. The real windscreen does end up here on the back, however it does create this huge blocky section that he did have in the G1 cartoon, and of course what the original Battle Charger toy did have. And you can see that once again that red transparent plastic in my opinion contrasts so nicely there with the black plastic. Something which is worth noting is that unlike Runamuck, for the most part this figure has just been molded in black plastic, whereas with Runamuck he was more painted than cast in a particular color of plastic. But nonetheless, I think that for the most part this figure here looks absolutely terrific. You can see that of course we've got all of the excellent sculpt work going along there for the arms, as well as here for the torso with the Decepticon insignia, of course here with the thighs, the shins, and then finally the legs. One thing to note is that it's very similarly to Runamuck, they have unfortunately decided not to paint this wheel here white. It is something that I'm pretty sure you can easily do. However, it's unfortunate that Hasbro and Takara Tomy didn't do it here for this particular release. In terms of articulation, we do get a very tight ball joint here at the head, which can look left to right. We of course do get a hinge joint here for the arms, forwards and backwards. However, once again, very similarly to Runamuck, we do have that rather odd notch here, which prevents you from bringing the arms all the way back. I have no idea as to why they have sculpted it this way, as it doesn't aid robot mode nor the vehicle mode whatsoever. But nonetheless, we can hinge the arms out here to the sides, full 360 rotation at the bicep, as well as a 90-degree bend there at the elbow, full 360 rotation here at the waist. The legs can kick forwards that far as well as back to that far. You can also do the splits, full 360 rotation at the thigh, as well as a 90-degree bend here at the knee. However, if you actually disengage the locking mechanism for robot mode, you can get a much further range of motion here out of the knee, which is almost the same amount of motion as you would get out of a double joint. And then finally, taking a look here at the foot, this here can pivot forwards and backwards, as well as of course rock side to side. So overall, once again, in terms of detail and articulation, a very strong deluxe. And I did state that Runamuck was one of my favorite deluxe figures, and seeing as this figure here is basically the exact same thing just in different paint apps, I certainly am absolutely loving what Hasbro and Takara Tomy have done. In terms of weapons, he does actually come with one new blaster, that being this one here. It is very similar to the design that we actually do get with the original blaster that we saw with Runamuck, and you can see that of course it has been cast in black plastic and has got some red paint apps applied onto the top of it. There is actually a few ways in which you can display him with the blasters. So of course you can have them as pistols, or in order to give homage to the original G1 toy, you can peg it onto the top here of the shoulder, and the same can also be said for a Runamuck. Or what I actually like to do is take them and combine them into one larger awesome looking rifle. So you can definitely curate for a very intimidating look here with Runabout, and just bringing Runamuck into the equation. Unfortunately, as this figure is white and my background is white, I do apologize if some of the details are slightly washed out, but just comparing the head sculpts, you can see there that they are completely different. However, the rest of the bodies are the exact same sculpt, and just comparing the weapons, you can see that where we only got one blaster here with Runamuck, we do indeed get two here with Runabout. Two fantastic figures, and in my opinion, two of the highlights out of the deluxes for the Transformers Earthrise toy line. Now, getting into the transformation here for Runabout, as he is the exact same figure as Runamuck, I will very briefly show you the conversion. So of course we just want to take the wrists here and fold those into the hollow cavities. Of course, repeat the same process here on the opposite side. We're then going to want to take this section. Now, something which I may have neglected to mention in my Run Amok review is that this entire assembly here is indeed made out of an entirely transparent piece of plastic, which I definitely believe may become a braking hazard over time, especially as this actual section here does have a ratchet joint, which does take quite a considerable amount of force to actually pull forward. You can see that as I pull it forward, it does click into place, and I can just see over time this section here splintering and maybe becoming a braking hazard. So I maybe would have rather had them just completely cast this in a solid red plastic and then put some black paint apps over the top of it. Although it may not have looked as good as this, I definitely do believe that over time this could potentially be a braking hazard. Fold the head into this cavity and of course just snap that into place. You're then going to want to take the knee here, disengage this, and as we take a look here at the back, you can see that we do have a slot that this section here will indeed tab into. You're going to want to ensure that it does actually click into place, like so, otherwise the figure will not be able to roll along the ground smoothly. We can then take the heel spur here, collapse this in, and then take this and snap that in there nice and securely. Of course, come here to this side. So once again, take this tab and peg it into this slot here. Bring this all the way back until it does click into place, and then take the wheel, fold this up like so, take these two sections and snap them in nice and securely. We can then take the waist here and rotate it all the way around so that the front is now facing the back. You're then going to want to take this entire piece here and just separate it from the upper torso, so you can see that these two tabs do lock into these two slots. So just bring this away from the body, take this section, lift this up. You can see that we have two slots here and here that these two tabs will peg into. So just snap them in there nice and securely, rotate the forearm around, and then just align this up appropriately, snap that in there, and of course come here to this side and repeat the exact same process, ensuring that this entire front windscreen does stay tabbed in appropriately. We can then take the wheels here, fold these out, and then of course just collapse that, and there we have Runabout fully transformed up into his very Lotus Esprit-esque looking vehicle mode, and in my opinion this looks absolutely terrific. I did mention in my Run Amok review that this figure definitely does give me vibes to the old 2010 era of Transformers, in being that it is very well made, the conversion is very fun and satisfying, and it is a very substantial deluxe figure as well. Both vehicle mode and robot mode is quite well sized for a modern day deluxe. Taking a look here at the details, you can see that here for the front windscreen we do have the window wipers, as well as some fantastic sculpt work going along there for the windscreen. The same can also be said here for the side windows, and of course here this entire back section, which I just absolutely love. The tail lights here have been picked out in a nice red, and you can see there the exhaust pipes at the back, and of course we do have some very clean red paint applications going along the side of the vehicle. So in my opinion, overall, I think that the vehicle mode looks terrific. Of course, it can roll really well, especially if you do transform him exactly how I did show you in this review. And in terms of weapon storage, we can take both of the blasters. I recommend rotating this one here upwards, otherwise the peg will bump into the windscreen. And of course, just snap that into place like so. And of course, comparing Runabout here to his brother Run Amok, the vehicle modes are once again the exact same sculpt. However, I'm pretty sure you'll all agree with me in saying that with the differences in terms of paint applications, it really does set the two brothers apart. And in my opinion, as mentioned earlier on in the review, I do certainly prefer Runabout's appearance, just as I absolutely love the way that the red and the black does contrast each other, which is not to take anything away from Run Amok. He is certainly a fantastic figure in his own respect, but just in terms of a personal preference, I just think that the colour scheme here looks so awesome, and these are perfect updates over their original G1 counterparts. Decepticons attack! And so, some final thoughts. Call it trouble and make it double. I absolutely love Runabout. As you'll all know if you watched my Run Amok review, I said that that figure was potentially one of the best out of Wave 3, and that for sure still stands here with Runabout, if not more so, as I'm a massive fan of the black and red colour scheme, the newly sculpted head sculpt, as well as the additional blaster. You're actually getting more plastic when you think about it here with Runabout than you were with Run Amok, so what's not to love? Despite me having some critiques in regards to the structural integrity of the chest plate over time, that is just something that we do not know how it will hold up over time, and at least for now it looks fantastic, and the quality for sure does feel as if though it will stand the test of time. Robot mode in my opinion looks fantastic, and if you have Run Amok, then of course you're going to want to get Runabout. They are perfect representations of what we got in the original G1 series, and for those of you who want an updated version of the original Battle Charger G1 toy, then this figure here is certainly the way to go. The transformation is simplistic, however very fun to go from vehicle mode to robot mode, and of course vice versa, and I also do think the vehicle modes on both of these figures figures are very solid. So with all that being said, if you are able to find Runabout, then I highly recommend that you do pick him up. It is once again just unfortunate that he is indeed a store exclusive and is not a figure which will be released as part of the main toy line. I personally don't believe that this figure here is going to be all that difficult to find, especially as 9 times out of 10 there does appear to be a lot more stock on shelves than there is on some of the online listings. So for sure, if you are in the US, check your local Targets. For those of you who are outside of the US, then your best bet is probably hobby stores, and if those don't stock it, then unfortunately you may have to go and find it on eBay. It really does depend on if you are a fan of this particular character and whether or not you really want to add him to your collection. I just think that this figure here will not be as difficult to find as been hinted at by some of the sold out pre-orders. So with all that being said, I really do hope that you enjoyed my review. If you did, please do let me know down in the comment section below. As stated at the beginning of the review, Runabout here is unfortunately one of the second to last Earthrise figures that we have to go. I do know that we have the Earthrise Thrust left, and then of course some of the Amazon exclusive Galactic Odyssey sets yet to go, so be sure to stay tuned on the channel for reviews of all of those upcoming Transformers products. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.